What's up, everyone? Welcome to this Laradock episode. In this episode, we'll be covering the latest Laradock version, which is 4.7 point something. The latest video I made was covering version 2.2, and there was a lot of changes since then. I'm gonna make this video as quick as possible, so I'm gonna skip the introduction about what Docker is, how does it compare to virtual machines, and all this stuff, because you can read everything here. But if I can say it in one sentence, I would say Docker is great alternative to virtual machines, and if you're currently using Homestead, you might consider to use Laradock because it's really easy and fast to use it, and you will see that. So let's quickly jump to the requirements, and you can see we need Docker and Git. I don't think we really need Git because we can download anything we want, but let's go to Docker and see now. In the previous version, actually in the previous video, I showed how to use Docker Toolbox in the version 2.2, and now we are supporting Docker Native, so feel free to download whichever version for your operating system. I'll be using Docker for Mac, of course, because I'm on a Mac. So after you install this, you should see something like this, showing that Docker is running. Let's start with the installations. Of course, here we have two options. It's either we are starting from scratch, where we have nothing, and we need Laradock or Docker to create a development environment where we SSH into it and then clone Laravel and start coding. And this is the step B. Or we have an existing project and we're currently working with maybe LAMP, WAMP, whatever environment we have, or even we are using Homestead and we heard somewhere that Docker is really awesome tool and we want to try it. So I'm gonna be starting with this scenario, and let's quickly start. I did not prepare anything for this video, so we're gonna be doing it all together. I'm gonna go this Laravel testing. I'll open the terminal. Let's go to desktop, Laravel testing, and start. Actually, we need a project for this. Yes, I'm gonna be using one of my projects. It's called Hello API. Hello API just started. If you want to build a API on top of Laravel, it gives you a lot of features. But anyway, let's go back to the documentation, installation. Let's clone this project here. You can see we have it now. And so now I'm gonna assume that I have this project and I was working on it, and now I need to switch from any virtual development environment to Docker. Let's go back to Docker now and install Docker. The installation is really one step. It's either this or this. Alright, that's cool. Not a Git, of course, because I need to go inside Hello API. I think I have Hello API ignored. Okay, that's why. Anyway, we're cool. Let's go there. You can see Laradock is there. So that was it for the installation. Let's jump to the usage. Now what I need to do is to run docker compose up and select what softwares or containers I need for my application. So to run any docker compose command, I need to be inside the Laradock folder, and now I can say docker compose up -d to say run them in the background. I need nginx. I will be using MySQL. However, if you want any other database, you can select from this list. And also I need Redis for Hello API. Let's run this, and of course, if this is the first time you are using Laradock, you will see different results here because Docker will be downloading all these containers and provisioning them. Now let's see what's running, and everything's up, the volumes are there, so everything is good. Let's move on. Now I'm saying that I need to SSH inside the workspace container. Now this containers is just a container that contains some tools that will help you during the development. You can see some of the tools are listed here. So let's do this. Actually, let's just copy and paste these commands to make things faster. If I list everything in this directory, you can see it's pointing to my Laravel directory. Now what I need to do is, since I'm using this hello API, I will need to execute some commands like composer install. So let's composer install. Well, I assume this is gonna take some time because, you know, right now we are using the composer version that comes inside that container. So if there's anything caching in my machine, it will not be used. Thus everything will be downloaded. So I will pause this video right there and come back very soon. So composer have finished the downloading and installation of everything. So let's continue. Now I'll go back to the Docker documentation and move to step 3, and it's telling me here if you don't have Laravel project installed yet, see how you can install one. Anyway, we'll cover this. This is the step B above. Anyway, now we need to open the env file and set the DB host to MySQL. I don't think I have one now, so let's copy my .env .example to .env. So now I have a .env file. Let's edit that file and go to MySQL host and set it to MySQL. And since also I'm using Redis and I know that Redis is just the same, I will do it right now. Back to the documentation. That's it. All I have to do now is to go to localhost. So let's go ahead and try it. Go to localhost. I should see my application successfully running. Now let me show you how you can connect to a database. I'm gonna be using SQL Pro as a client, and all you have to do is to set your localhost as the host and the database credentials. Well, you can get those credentials from, let's open this project in Sublime, from the Docker Compose file. If you search for MySQL container, you can see that the database and the user and the password and all the stuff. So just insert those information and connect and you should be good. Now as you can see, I have no tables, so let's create some tables. Since I'm right now inside that container, I can run any command I want. I can run PHP artisan migrate and also seed some data in those tables. I can run my PHP unit tests. I can do anything I want, and if there's any tool that I need to support, I can easily go and support it. Now let's check if we have the tables. Now as you can see, all the tables are there and they are seeded. Let's actually try to make a request to my application and see if it's update my database to make sure that everything is working. Yeah, for that project, the name is hello API. As you can see, if I can also go to hello api.dev, I should get the same result. And if I go to api.hello.dev, I should see the response as an API anyway. So let's make that request with some data to register a new user. You can see I've got the response from the server, and now I should see a record right there. Well, the same thing, you can connect to Redis client or any other tools using the same technique. So now we just saw how we can switch whichever development environment we are currently using into Docker using the Laradock tool in a very simple few steps. Now let's see how we can start a project from scratch where we will prepare our development environment and then we will clone Laravel or any other project and we start developing on top of it. So to do this, we'll first need to clone Laradock. I have cleaned everything here, so let's start from scratch. Clone Laradock, and then cd into it, and go back to the usage. Now what I need to do is docker compose up following. Let's copy it to run nginx and mysql, let's say. Let's check if everything is good. Docker compose ps. Everything's good. Now let's go inside the workspace container and say I want to install Laravel. So let's do this. Laravel.com. Let's go to the documentation. Install. And I'm gonna be using Composer. So let's go ahead and let's call it blog. Why not? Well, I think that's gonna take some time and I will stop the video, I guess, again until this is completed. Okay, so see you very soon. Alright, this is done and let's see what we need to do now. Well, if I try to go to localhost, I'm sure it will not run. I should get this error. Let's open the project inside Sublime and solve this problem. First, let's open the Docker Compose file, scroll down to this line where we are mapping the Laravel installation inside the container. And obviously there's a problem here and I'll explain it in this documentation. So by default, Laradock assumes that it lives inside your project. And I prefer this method because every project might have its own dependency, its own tools, its own configurations. That's why I put a Laradock inside each project. However, when you follow the following approach, you will most likely find yourself in this situation where Laradock is on the same directory of your project. Well, here you have two options. Either you drag this inside, so you get back again to this structure. But if you want to stick with this one, that's totally alright. All you have to do is to add the folder name right there. So it's blog. I just have to save. And in order for this to work, since I made a change to the Docker Compose file, I will have to stop and run again the Docker Compose file. So what I need to do is to exit first this, and then Docker Compose stop, and then Docker Compose up -d, nginx, and mysql. Well, now if I go back to the browser and I refresh, I should have Laravel version 5.3 up and running successfully. I think that was it for this demo, and I hope I didn't forget anything and that you enjoyed it. That was Mahmoud Zalt, and see you next time. Bye bye.